Hey guys, welcome back to the third episode of our September cartoon special for my birthday. And this number three was actually pretty hard for me to find. And not that I couldn't find it, but like an idea of my top four. It was very easy to find the top three shows, like cartoons that meant a lot to me. The fourth one was a bit harder and it was kind of weird. I watched tons of cartoon shows back in the day, but trying to find shows that either shaped like shaped who I was or really resonated with me is just hard, I watched a bunch of cartoons. I think some of my favorites were like Samurai Jack, Dexter's Lab. I liked watching the Powerpuff Girls. Other cartoons was there? Cat Dog was another big one. You had Rocco's Modern Life. So there's just, and that's only a few of the cartoons that I remember watching. But I was trying to think of one that I had watched that just really I like, one, super enjoyed, and two, like, I tried to emulate in real life to some extent. And it finally dawned on me, and I can't even remember what made me remember this cartoon, because it wasn't the first one that popped in my mind, and maybe that's why it was so hard, because a bunch of other shows popped in my mind first because of either just how cool they were or how other people really liked those shows. But this is personal. This is about me. This isn't about what other people think. This is about what I think. And so, without further ado, let's introduce the third episode, the third cartoon for my birthday month.
We are riders on a mission. Action kids in play position. Rocket power.
That's right, guys. It's 1999's Rocket Power. It's another Nickelodeon show. And it's just kind of funny, man. So, in 1999, I was much older. I think I was 11 at this point. Well, I think it came out in August, so I was 10 when Rocket Power aired on Nickelodeon. So, right? Let's see, because born in 88. So, 98. Oh, okay. So, no, I probably would have been yeah, 10 or 11. Something like that. No, I can't math. 88 to 98 would be 10. So, we're coming to 99. So, yeah, I'm still 10. I would be turning 11 this year. So, yeah, Rocket Power came out, very young kid, and I don't know if you guys have ever watched a single episode of Rocket Power before, but it's pretty much like, it's about four kids who love doing extreme sports, man. They live in like this town, I believe it was called Ocean Shores. It was some California town. It was like every town, California. I don't believe it was a real town. And, they would just surf, skateboard. They would go snowboarding because, in California, you can do all those things in like a day or something like that. They would do like BMXing or other kind of just crazy biking. And then, like, one of my favorite things that they did was play street hockey. And anyway, these kids, Otto, Reggie, Twister, and Sam, or they call them Squid, would just get into crazy situations and try to overcome just like the challenges of either extreme sports or growing up, like friendship and stuff like that. And Otto and Reggie were brother and sister. They lived with their dad, Raymundo. Well, I think Ray was his real name. And I know they didn't have a mom. I can't remember what actually happened to her. I think she passed away, if I remember correctly. And then they had like their uncle Tito, but he was like an uncle in that he was Raymundo's best friend type thing. And they worked out of this like beach shack, or I say it's a beach shack, but it was actually a storefront where they cooked and they did like surf gear rentals and stuff like that. And that's kind of just like where they hung out, and that was like the group. And I mean, there's a huge cast of secondary and tertiary characters that made appearances throughout the entire run of the show. And like, honestly, when I think about it, and I looked up a character list right before recording, there's a ton of different characters. Like each of your main four characters had their own like groups of characters that they interacted with and that were a part of the show and made regular appearances on the show. So it was a pretty big ensemble, especially for a kids show, you know, that usually focuses around a very tight group, very small. But then, like, I think of this wasn't like a very kid show, like a young kid show. This was more of a early teen, like what are they called? Tweens, you know, like right before teenager, but you still got two digits in your age. Like, so I was like perfect range for this television show. And so Rocket Power ran for 71 episodes. There was like also like a bunch of shorts within that they put together to make episodes. So I can't remember how many like mini-series episodes it is, but like full 20-something minute episodes, 71 of them. It was actually created by Arlene Klasky and Gaber, I can't even pronounce his name right, Supo. But I don't know if you're familiar with cartoonist names or like creator names, but their past credits are Rugrats and Real Monsters, which I was also fans of growing up. And it makes sense. Like if you remember the art style for these shows and you look at the art style for Rocket Power, it really does kind of make sense and all kind of like, oh yeah, like these could exist in the same world in some ways. Anyway, a little bit about the characters. So Otto, which was maybe not the one I related to the most, but he was like the leader of the group, you know, or at least he surely felt like he was. He was very like outspoken. He was very adventurous, very prideful, super competitive, but he was also like super talented, you know. So like he had the skills to back up, you know, the talk. He could walk the walk, man. He just wanted to be the best, kind of like Ash, you know. But you know, he wanted to be like the top of extreme sports, of skateboarding, of all that stuff that he did. And I think he wanted to be like a world famous professional athlete, you know, try to get sign or sponsorships. And I think that's like some of the episodes talk about like that, are like he tries to get those things but has to make a choice between, you know, getting to his dream now or helping family. You know, like what comes first, family, friends, or superstardom, you know. And he's hot-headed, selfish, but I think at the end of the day, you know, he's actually a loyal friend. Like I think when push comes to shove, Otto does make the right decisions. You got his older sister, Reggie, who's tomboyish. She's sassy. She doesn't take shit from no one. She wants to be a publisher. She does her own zine, which is really awesome. And, man, zines are cool, dude. Side note here, Houston Zine Fest is coming up soon. I forget what day it is, but I definitely want to check that out because zines are like indie comics except cooler. Like, this is the only way I can describe them. But anyway, back to Reggie Rocket here. She was also super talented, great, probably like the best girl athlete in the area. And I think just as competitive as her brother was, but also more mature than him. Like, so she would come to the right decisions quicker than Otto would. Then you had the crazy best friend, Twister, or his real name, Maurice, which they would call him. So that's Otto's best friend. He's like the cameraman of the group, I think. Kind of dumb and oblivious to a lot of things, but you know, that's what he was. He was like the gullible, goofy guy. I'm trying to use alliteration here. But, you know, despite being an idiot, he could kind of come up with clever ideas and little pranks and like, you know, he would surprise you sometimes. But like I said, he was like their film guy. He was the guy with the camera. He was actually really good at it. Real good at it. And also, I remember one of the characters that's closely related to him, his older brother Lars, would always try to play pranks and tricks on the group. And There's one episode that I remember where they kind of tired of it, so they play like a legit mean prank on Twister's older brother Lars. They make Lars believe Twister dies. Like that is horrific when I think about it. But it was to get back at him, and they film it, and then like they film Lars basically breaking down, being like, "But I love my brother. Like I know I'm mean to him, but I don't want anything bad to happen to him." And they use that to bribe him into buying them all gas station burritos. Like, so like it goes back to the kid route, but man, that's pretty freaking dark. And then the last guy of the group of the four kids is Sam Squid Dullard. He's basically the new kid in town. He's not from around here. I think he's from somewhere in the middle of the country, like Nebraska or Oklahoma or Kansas, something like that. And he's not nearly as talented. He's not like he's the kind of overweight nerdy kid, and I guess you can figure out who I might have related to. But like him being clumsy, timid, and awkward, he would get his confidence in like with his smarts. He was really good with computers and electronics and like fixing things and getting to the bottom, like if they had like a mystery to solve type, not like Scooby-Doo mystery, but if like something happens, like that's where he shined, and that's where he was a cool member of the group. But he could do things like athletically, like he could be a part of that world of Little Mermaid. Sorry, he could be in that group and like play with them and be a part of them. Like I think he was the goalie when they played street hockey, which was badass. Like he couldn't really surf all that well at first, so he boogie boarded, but he later learns to surf really well. Like he learns that he needs a different type of surfboard than what the other ones use to be able to surf. And then I just remembered that episode off the top of my head while talking about Sam. And like I don't even think that's in the first season. I think that it ran for like 4 seasons. I can't exactly remember, but it's in one of the later seasons. He wants to learn how to surf, and Tito, being another bigger guy, teaches him that it's not his skill or his ability as a surfer that's why he can't surf. It's because he's surfing on the wrong board. And they bring out like this beautiful like long board, like a huge long surfboard. I don't know if they have a specific name to them, but that's where Squid learns to surf, and he gets to surf on that, and it's pretty badass and really cool, man. But yeah, and I think the creators of the show even said that they not just wanted but needed a character like Sam to show other kids like it doesn't matter if you're the best or not, because that's what Otto and Reggie are. They're like the best. They're the competitive crazy people, but you needed kids like Sam to kind of show kids, to help them come out of their shell, to be like, you could do this too. Like you don't have to be perfect. You don't have to be super great at everything. You just have to try and want to be a part of it, and you could. And that's what Sam was. And that's why like I connected with him like really quickly. In fact, like that's why I connected with Doug, like in the Doug cartoon, just awkward kids. And that's me. I'm awkward. And then of course we talked a little bit about Raymundo, which is the dad. He apparently was a legendary surfer back in the day. I really don't remember that. I just remember him being kind of goofy. He is strict, like, and he's a good dad. Like he's not like some bum surfer dude. Like he's like, he runs a shop. Like he's very responsible, and he looks out for his kids, and he wants them to look out for them, like not look out for themselves, but he wants them to make the right decisions for themselves and be able to come to those decisions. I feel like he's a great dad, man. And Tito, Uncle Tito, he's a little more silly. He's funnier, but he always has like, he has that way to talk to the kids, to kind of be that mentor, to be that person. Because in every cartoon, they have to have that mentor that the kids talk to, who might be a little dingy, but ultimately will find some way to say his goofy shit in a way that means something to the kids, and that's what Uncle Tito was. But that's really all the main characters that pertain to the show. And I just loved it, man. Like I was so diehard for this show. I think like you heard the intro. It just comes at you. It's crazy. In the middle of episodes, they would take time where it was like they would pause or something, and then like a graphic would come across the screen like, oh yeah, or like wicked, and it was like terrible 90s CGI type graphics that would like oh god, if this was a video podcast, you guys would be disturbed. Probably sensory overload, seizures. Like that's how bad it was. But as a kid, loved every minute of it. And like I said, we talked about some of the episodes with some of the characters, but like it was funny because while I was going back to look at the show to kind of refresh my memory with some of the stuff, a lot of like the big hits and the stuff that I loved were actually from season 1. And it was kind of funny to me because I was like, God, did I even watch anything other than season 1? And I have, because I remember a few episodes, and then I remember there being it was like the final episode was a TV movie where their dad Raimundo gets married. And I don't even remember the buildup, if there even was one, to the woman that he ends up marrying. It's like Tito's sister or Tito's cousin from Hawaii, and apparently they were like all like Raimundo, his wife, and Tito's sister were like all really close friends. Well, Tito too. Like they were all really close friends in Hawaii, and that's how their friendship and relationship was there. And then like I don't know, it was kind of crazy. And of course, it's like the kids are like really not sure about it. Like, is she gonna ruin everything? Like, we have a great family unit. And then there's also like a misunderstanding between like what Otto wants to do, like because he's trying to like get signed. I think Shaun White was in this because, of course, Shaun White, well, he's still kind of a big thing for extreme sports. But back then, like in the early 2000s, he was a huge thing for extreme sports. So Shaun White's in it, and Otto's trying to get signed by him, but he's got to make a choice between making his dad, like being there for his dad and trying to help them get married versus his own path in life. And like, so I kind of remember it being pretty heavy at some points, but you know, that's kind of how kids shows do, man. They give you whiplash in like the genre department between like super happy, super funny, and then super dark and sad and depressing. But yeah, and that, man, I think the show ended in 2004. So yeah, 99, 2000, 2001, 2002, 2003. So 5 years. So like 5 seasons of this, man. But some of my favorite episodes, and like I said, I just was looking up scenes on YouTube, and it just it like took me so far back to being a kid again and coming home from school and just plopping down and hearing that theme song and like getting into it. But one of the episodes I was watching talked about the Lars one where he picks on his brother a lot, so they decide to play a prank on him. There's one where they're trying to go down, and like if this was not a kid show, you would call it like Dead Man's Pass or something like that. But it was like a downhill dirt skateboard slope thing, and it was called like Bruised Man's Curve or something like that, which was kind of funny because, you know, you can't say dead man in it or whatever, but and it's about like Otto overcoming his fear and ends up going down it and like crushing it. And there's like that crazy Matrix move where he hits big air and everyone like, yeah, cheering, and then it pauses and then does like, and it's a cartoon, so, you know, they had to draw this, but the camera spins around him and then he finishes the trick or whatever. Because, you know, the Matrix played a big part in everyone's lives back in the early 2000s. Then you had the one that I kind of talked about a little bit about Sam using like his intelligence. They're trying to pick up trash on the beach, and they keep finding trash. They're like, why does, like, we're doing so much to pick up and like clean our beach, why does so much crap keep showing up here? And that's when they decide to follow a dumpster truck, and they follow it to the dumpster and realize that the dumpster is right next to a river, or like whatever body of water that goes into the ocean where they're cleaning, and there's a hole in the wall because it's not far enough away from the river. It's just they put a wall right next to the river, there's a hole in it, and the trash that they keep dumping just keeps going back into the water. And so it I don't know, man, it's kind of funny. There's like some kick-ass all-girl stuff that with Reggie and her friends, and then like the street hockey. the freaking street hockey in this show is the reason why my friends and I were in driveways and streets. I had my parents go out and buy me like street hockey goalie gear because I wanted to be just like Sam. And like dead ass, me and my best friend back then, we were wearing rollerblades, and we would make a little border on the garage door, and we were shooting street pucks and street hockey balls, and I would try to make saves. We were getting like road rash from doing stupid shit. And then if we could get like 2 or 3 more people, we would play in the road, and we would do the whole thing like car and have to move everything out of the way, and then car would leave, and then we're like game on, and then come back because Wayne's World was a thing too. And God, Wayne's World, holy shit, there's like street hockey in that, and Clerks, and okay, so like it's all come full circle. Like there was a thing with street hockey, guys. I mean, I remember it used to show like street hockey. Was it ESPN or Spike TV, something like that? Like so, like extreme sports had like this huge surgence back then, like where everyone wanted a piece of it, man. And I wasn't great at skateboarding, but I loved to rollerblade because it was easy. Like it was just skating, man. Like it was ice skating, but on gravel. And I could never convince my parents to buy me like the rollerblades with the little grinders in the middle, so I couldn't do cool shit like that. But I remember there were some shoes, and I can't remember what these shoes were called. Maybe I can do a quick Google search while we're talking. But these shoes, they had like plastic or metal little pieces in the middle of them that you could run up and like grind on poles and like just metal, because like they were plastic. So if you try to grind on gravel, it was going to be a bad day. Let's see. Skate shoes you could grind on. That sounds weird when I type it. No, they weren't the shoes with the skates in them, man. What the soaps? Oh God, they were called soaps. Now I remember. Let me look up. So, there it is. Yes, I somehow convinced my parents to buy me soaps, and I remember having them in junior high, and I would try to like grind on, like there was like little like planters, but they were like, really nice ones. So it was like not ceramic, but some type of tile, and I remember trying to grind on it, but they were tiles, so it was little squares with like the grout in between them, and my freaking ankle caught in one of the grouts, and I just ate it hardcore, like on my side. And what was funny, these shoes were heavy, dude. These shoes were like the heaviest pieces of shit that you would ever wear. I remember wearing them, and after a week, I think I had soccer practice like the next week or something, and when I wasn't wearing them, my feet felt super light. Like I felt like I was like walking with feathers. Like it was crazy, dude, like how light my feet felt after wearing these soaps. But they were chunky, and they were huge, and they were heavy. But I remember those being the greatest things in the world back in the day. And that's funny, the parent company for soaps was Healy, and we all know what Heelys are, right? The shoes with skates in them. And these like were released in 1997. I didn't really get into them until like closer to junior high, so that would have been 99, 2000 when I got these things. But it's because I wanted to be like Otto. I wanted to be like Sam and Twister and Reggie. I wanted to shred it with my friends, like it sucked because we didn't have a skate park back then, but like people would skate on the square and stuff because you weren't getting harassed back then in the day. Nowadays you can't do shit on the square, but nowadays we have a skate park now, a very small one, but hey, it's better than nothing, right? But yeah, it's funny, and I shared that little embarrassing story with you guys. But yeah, man, I loved Rocket Power. It was probably one of my favorite shows. Definitely meant a lot to me, and just seeing those characters and the things that they went through and how funny it was, and like the friendships and the competition and stuff like that. I dug it, man. Like I loved watching the X Games back then, and this show was like my intro to the X Games and intro to playing like street hockey and like street sport stuff like that. So Rocket Power holds a special place in my heart. So hopefully, if you guys aren't familiar with it, you'll check it out on YouTube. I don't think they have full episodes there, but you can check out scenes from it. It's pretty funny. I enjoy it. So maybe you guys will enjoy it too. With that being said, that's all I got to talk about this week. Tune in next week for the final birthday cartoon celebration that we have. And it's no secret on what it's going to be, but I'm not going to tell you right now. We'll see you guys next week.
We are riders on a mission, action kids in fun condition, prepare to count down rocket power.